Hug, Johnson, Melton, Rowe, Bagley. Mr. President.
Here. Please rise for the pledge and remarks by Councilmember Melton.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody, please have a seat. And actually, I'm just going to take my time today to, in remembrance and in honor of John Christensen, our former chancellor of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, who passed away this last week. John was an absolutely wonderful man who loved this community, and he actually was the first chancellor of UNO that actually was a graduate of UNO. And I think that speaks very highly for how much he loved the university, how much he loved the students that attended there, and our community as a whole. I mean, some of the things between 2007 and 2017, in the decade that John served as chancellor, he was responsible for building the Baxter Arena, the Barb White's Community Center that so many of us use, not just the students at UNO. But he was also so very generous with his time and his care and concern for our community that after his retirement, we asked him to serve on the building commission. That is the commission that is in charge of the building we're sitting in right here and our courthouse. And he gave of his time and actually oversaw the building of the new juvenile courthouse across the street. And so even into John's retirement, he worked all the way up until, I believe last year is when he retired from the building commission that he chaired with Councilmember Harding, myself, and two the county board members. So I really got to know John during that time. And I just think he was an absolute wonderful father, husband, but wonderful chancellor and wonderful member of our community. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize John Christensen for everything that he did for our community. And I want his family to know how dearly he will be missed, I think, by not just our city council, but the entire community, and how much we appreciate everything he did. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of legislative chambers.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Omaha City Council. We appreciate having you here this afternoon. We look forward to hearing your testimony on our many items. I would remind you to turn your cell phones off or at least to vibrate. If you have any difficulty hearing the proceedings today, you can see our meeting attendant here at the diocese for a listening device, or you may also access closed captioning in the back of the room. I do want to take a moment of personal privilege as president of the City Council to note that today is the last official meeting for Councilmember Johnson. We do want to recognize her today and thank her for her service on behalf of the citizens. Ms. Johnson, I've always appreciated your perspective as it comes to especially neighborhood issues and neighborhood input and city engagement of our residents. I've appreciated serving with you on many different committees, including the Finance Committee and Public Works, and I know you've also served on Human Rights and Relations and the Land Bank, amongst others. So we very much value your public service and your time with us. We know you'll stay engaged, I'm sure, on behalf of your neighborhood and on behalf of North Omaha and our entire city. So we do have a small token of our appreciation for you I want to present to you. And then perhaps we can take a group photo in front of the diocese. I think we have staff prepared to do that. So please join me in thanking Councilmember Johnson for her service.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Front. Councilmember Lona. Madam Clerk.
Item 6, to consider a Class C liquor license for the Wandering Page located at 3925 Farnham Street.
The public hearing and vote on number 6 is today. I believe we have the applicant by Zoom. We'll get you off mute here in a second. Maybe a few seconds. All right, well, we're working on that. I'll go ahead and call proponents. If there's any proponents on number 6 that want to speak that's here in the audience. I don't see any. Any opponents? All right, I'll recognize Mr. Bagley in the meantime. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. President. Is Ms. Vacanti? There she is. Ms. Vacanti, can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay. Well, hopefully she can weigh in, but
Hello?
Good afternoon. This is Councilman Begley. Can you hear me okay?
I have no sound on my end.
Okay.
Well, Ms. Vacanti, as she's trying to get her sound together, I can feel for her because I would have to call my kids to fix that. But we had a nice chat, and this is in Blackstone. It's an old yoga place, and she's going to serve pastries and coffee and tea and seltzers and wine and some mixed drinks. It's right next to a great ice cream place in Blackstone. And I think her hours are going to be Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 p.m. and then on Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And you can go read a book, you can have a drink or some pastry. So it's going to be a great addition. And I know Blackstone is excited to have them, and so is Councilmember Danny Begley. Can you hear us now, Ms. Vacanti? I hope that was a good promo for her, but it's going to... Third time.
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right.
All right, the meeting's over. Sorry we missed you. No,
He just said
I'm
a bunch of
kidding.
nice things about you.
I'll let you do your promo. Just, I touch on the things we talked about on the phone. We had a nice conversation. You want to just tell us what I probably didn't miss, but just cover what your business is going to be for the Wandering Page?
Yes, we are going to be a bookstore, coffee shop, and lounge in Blackstone, right next to Coneflower. And we're just trying to create a space for everyone, whether it's a student trying to study, a mom with their kids, just or likes coffee, drinks, pastries.
Terrific. And your hours I covered were Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Is that correct, if I remember right?
That is correct. Then Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
All right. You helped me out, and I think we got everything covered. I'll make a motion to support this, and I'll look forward to stopping in. I wish you the best of luck in Blackstone. Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Motion and a second to approve. I'll actually close the public hearing now, too. And then, Ms. Vacanti, did you give us your address? If you can come back off mute for that. Do you have her address on record for the Zoom? Okay, we've got it.
Yeah, it's 3925 Farnham Street.
All right, thank you. There was a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. Good luck.
Item 7, to consider a Class IK liquor license for Abraham Catering, Lauritz and Gardens, located at 100 Bancroft Street.
Public hearing and vote on number 7 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, council members. David Levy, Baird Home Law Firm, 1700 Farnham Street. On behalf of the applicant, Brian Cobbs, president of Abraham Catering, 5520 Miller Avenue in Ralston.
Correct.
Happy to answer any questions. Essentially, this is a liquor license, as was stated, for Lauritz and Gardens. They're going to have a cafe and event space there. They already do. They use special designated licenses for events now. This would remove the need to do one of those every time, and then also there'll be a little cafe there where, like over lunch, somebody could come, if they're at Lauritz and Gardens, they have a meal, they have a beer with their meal, that kind of a thing. So, Brian, anything you want to add?
No, nothing at all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Happy
you.
to answer any questions.
Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
Gentlemen,
please. I had to wait for you to get all the way back to your seats.
We should have sat down up here. Yes, sir.
Timing. You guys have had the catering license there, or catering there for a number of years.
Correct.
And I used to live very close by, and my wife and I used to walk over there frequently for lunch when we were members of Lawrence and Gardens. When we moved, we no longer were members. I've tried to go back there for lunch, and because I was not a member, they would not let me in. Now, I've spoken to the new director about fixing that, because I would like to be able to come back there and not necessarily have to buy a membership to enjoy lunch there. The lunches were always good. We always had a good time.
Thank you.
I'm happy to see that you will be staying on there.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
A motion to approve and a second. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 8, to consider a liquor license addition and deletion application for Berry and Rye located at 1105 Howard Street to add a basement area and delete the second floor from the licensed premises.
Public hearing and vote on number 8 is today. Proponents, please.
Hello, council members. My name is Ethan Bodlid. I'm the owner of the Bear and Rye. My address is 12977 Hamilton Street, Omaha, Nebraska. This is a removal of another business that was on the second floor that I used to own and had sold a few years ago, and then addition for some storage in the basement that we store alcohol in.
Okay.
Here to answer questions if you have them.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 9, to consider a liquor license addition application for Rocco's Pizza and Cantina located at 1302 Mike Fahey Street to add an outdoor patio.
Public hearing and vote on number 9 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Colgett. I own Rocco's Pizza and Cantina and Left Deal Tools.
Thank you. And your address too?
1530 Trumbull Terrace, Plattsmouth, Nebraska.
All right. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Hi, how are you today?
Yes, ma'am. I'm good.
Good. Can you give me the day in the life of what's going to be there at your operation?
Well, currently I own both locations. So we have Rocco's Pizza and Cantina, which obviously we serve, pizza, Mexican food. And next door was Left Deal Tools, which was it's been a bar downtown there for 7 years. So with the expansion of the College World Series and how things have exploded for us there, they're sort of flip-flop. The major business now happens at Rocco's, and Lefty's is a little slower. It has a lot more area for storage and things like that, so the ability to combine the two, just make them one location, especially for events like the College World Series, the Big Ten Tournament, just makes it easier on everyone, from deliveries to running one instead of two, and just combining the two seemed like a logical thing to do.
And your hours of operation?
Traditionally, we're 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 a.m., and then the weekends 10 o'clock till 2 a.m. During events, obviously we open earlier. College World Series will open every day at 10 o'clock.
And obviously you have a fantastic relationship with the Downtown Business Improvement District.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Motion to approve. Good luck on that.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Good luck the next couple of weeks.
Item 10, an ordinance to rezone property located at 2861 Ellison Avenue and 5625 North 29th Street from R435 District to R5 District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing and vote on number 10 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Kelly Johnston Dorsey, Omaha Planning Department. These are 2 parcels currently owned by the City of Omaha. Later on the agenda, you will see a purchase agreement for the proposed sale of these properties to Holy Name Housing. This rezoning will just facilitate the easier development of these of these parcels into homes, which Holy Name is here to discuss as well if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Matthew Cavanaugh, Holy Name Housing Corporation, 4324 Fort Street. Happy to answer any questions, but As Kelly said, we'll be acquiring these lots. They're being rezoned prior to the sale just to facilitate the redevelopment. Each will have a single-family home built on them. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you. Mr. Kavanaugh? Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Councilman?
Good.
Good.
Just a point of information, just for the record. When will we begin construction on this?
These ones will most likely be in our next round of workforce housing, which would start early in 2026, early next year.
Okay. All right.
So hopefully they'll hit the market maybe this time next year, a little later summer.
So 2027, maybe they would be complete?
Hopefully before that, but possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully hit maybe the end of the fall market sales time.
And I've seen your work or your organization work throughout the Omaha community. I would imagine that this will be no different than your previous.
Yep, most likely we'll build the same house that we've been building in that Miller Park neighborhood. So that's part of what the rezone. These lots are very narrow, so we have a house that fits nicely on the lots that are around 40 feet wide. So they fit in nicely in that neighborhood, and they work well on those narrow lots.
And we've, of course, engaged the community, the neighbors and everything. They are aware of your time frame and all of that.
Yeah, not yet for these particular houses, but again, it's an iteration of the same program we've been doing in that Miller Park neighborhood. So we'll get them engaged after acquisition and once we go through planning development.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
There's motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Milton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thanks.
Item 11, a resolution to approve a special use permit to allow large group living in the R435 district located at 9423 Adams Street. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. B is communication in opposition.
Public hearing and vote on number 11 is today. Proponents, please.
Hello. Julie Harding, 9423 Adams Street.
Katie Block, 9423 Adams Street.
We have both been in healthcare for many, many years. We recognize the need for more assisted living. So we are here to answer any questions that you have on the in-home assisted living that we are planning on doing.
Okay. Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none. Any opponents? I think we have. Is there not? Yeah.
My name is Rita Kaiser. I live right next door to the house that was questioned a few minutes ago, and my address is 9353 Monroe Street. My husband and I have lived in this house for over 42 years. We are in our 80s now. We'll probably be trying to sell the house before too long, given the fact that we are as old as we are. My objection in the first place was the fact that a permit was allowed in the first place to turn this into a residential living place for people who were handicapped. And it is an extremely large house. It's probably the largest house in our subdivision, Turtle Creek. And we are really quite close to the house. As a matter of fact, we were invited to this meeting because we were within 300 feet of the proposed large group home. And yet, if I were to measure my property line going up to their foundation, is probably 10 to 12 feet. And so it is relatively close. Also, there is a porch in the backyard of this home. We actually gave the initial owners permission to build the porch because of the closeness to us. And sometimes, I hear a little bit of noise back there. Most of the people who have lived there, and there have been at least 6 residents who have lived there from the beginning because our house was built first, they have had very small families, maybe 4 or 5 people at the most. Several of the people that live there, just a husband and wife, no children, even though at the present time there are 6 bedrooms. As I understand it, there is a need for them to expand and have more bedrooms. And so they will need to modify the home to accommodate more of the disabled residents. And it would seem to me that 10 bedrooms, and I don't know if they plan to have bedrooms for the caretakers as well, which would be additional. I'm not certain about that. It seems excessive to me. It would seem to me that 4 or 5, 6 bedrooms maybe. We have in the city of Omaha approximately 10 houses that are run by the state. They are state funded and they are group homes, but they don't have more than 5 or 6, maybe 7 at the very most bedrooms. We have one actually about 3 blocks from my house. It's a duet house. It used to be called Encore. And that home has 5 beds. And so I guess I question the need to have more group homes in my development. It would seem to me that some of these homes should be placed in a mixed area where there's both commercial as well as residential. As far as I can perceive, our home is in a strictly residential area. It would seem to me also that there would be maybe some problems with parking. It would seem that, I don't know, people coming and going perhaps, visitors, guests, whatever, on Adams Street, which is really quite a busy street. It would make it difficult if they park along the side where the house is located for me to go around and get into my driveway, because a lot of the cars at the bottom of our hill, I think it's Jefferson Street, zoom up the street very, very quickly. There's a slight hill. It is hard for me to see down that hill when I am turning around cars trying to get into my driveway. So there's a potential for some perhaps hazardous driving situations and parking situations. I guess what I'm trying to say is I really didn't realize that the permit to have this group home had already been allowed. So my main objection today is having 10 residents, 10 bedrooms, just because the house is so big that it can somehow accommodate it. I assume they're going to maybe use the basement. I'm not really sure. I've been in the home a few times when it was up for sale. Like I said, I think we've had about 6 parties who have lived there over the years. And so I really am concerned about the size, the number, the fact that we will have to learn to deal with this. It may affect the sale of my home someday, possibly. I have talked to a real estate agent because we possibly will move in the near future. And he said that if people know there's a group home next door to them, they might be less apt to want to buy my home or not to pay me what is the current value of my home. So that is in the back of my mind also, probably because we are getting older. That is basically what I wanted to tell you today, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Great, thank you. Are there any other opponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, I'm going to close public hearing. There are some lights on, so stay close.
Okay.
Mr. Hugg, you're recognized.
Well, obviously, this is in my district, and yes, I have received a number of emails in opposition to this. And several people have pointed out that there's apparently some existing group homes within the neighborhood. Can anybody from the city verify that?
Mr. Fanslow?
It's on South 95th Street. It's a duet home.
We'll have a department head
I'm
answer
sorry.
that question. And you
I'm
can,
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And you can take a seat now until
okay.
somebody wants to ask you a question,
Sure.
which I think they probably will. Mr. Fanslow, you're recognized.
Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning. To answer your question, Councilman Hugg, there is one that we know of. There's one small group living facility within 500 feet of this site, somewhere along 95th Street. I don't have the exact address, but it is within 500 feet. That's the only one we know of.
Is there a possibility that there could be other group homes in the area that we don't know about?
I suppose there could be a possibility, but I guess I don't know. That's the information we have. I can't verify if there's more or not.
Okay, well, I guess that's all the questions I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Melton.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Mr. Fanslaw. It states in here, since this is a special use permit, and it says to allow for large group living, it's stated in here that it is for memory care and dementia patients. If we approve this, could that be changed to maybe a reentry, or, could the people the residents that will be living there change? Or is that something that this council could control using the special use permit?
Yeah, Dave Fanslow, City Planning. I would say that their operating statement says who the residents will be, and if approved, that's what they have to operate as. So no, I don't, it's my opinion that no, they wouldn't be able to change out who is using the facility based on their operating statement, that if approved would be part of that process.
Okay, and I think that's important based upon the parking and everything else, that because if they're having memory care patients, obviously, who can't drive, they're not going to have the amount of cars and coming and going that you would for maybe another residential home purpose. So I think that's and if the owners, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? I'll give you an opportunity for a minute or two.
So it is an assisted living that is memory focused. So none of the residents will be driving, and our staffing ratio is going to be based. It's based on how many people are living there, and for every 4 to 5 residents, it's going to be 1 staff member. So it'll be 2 to 3 staff members at any given time. We'll have 5 parking spots. There's a 3-car garage, and we'll have 2 extra parking spots that are not on the road. So we'll have enough parking spots for the staff members at all times. And that will have enough also for extra family members that want to come and stop by that's also not on the road. We'll have a private chef that will be grocery shopping daily, so we won't have commercial vehicles coming in. There won't be a food delivery truck. It's not going to be like a big nursing home. It's going to be very much like a residential living home. It's not going to look like a nursing home. It's going to have a very pretty yard. It's going to look just like it always has. No more different than if it was a home with 6 kids that were teenagers driving their cars. You know what I mean? It's going to look like a house, and we're going to very much treat it like a house. I currently own a home care business in town. I have 120 employees. I respect people's homes and wishes. I have employees in town now, and I want to make sure that we respect what people are doing. So we want to make sure that we continue to do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. That's why I wanted to make sure what we are approving today and what you're doing is we could hold you to that.
We will also have to follow DHS guidelines. So once you guys approve us, we still have to go through the Department of Health and Human Services and follow their guidelines with everything else that we set up. We have to get the fire and
They're
health,
very strict.
the sprinkler
Yes, they are. Very
systems. We have to get everything set up through them and follow everybody's guidelines before we move forward with even our construction. So.
Yes, I've dealt with DHS on the child care end, and I'm sure they're just as strict on your end.
Thick of everything we have to go by.
I'm
so.
familiar with
Yeah,
that binder, so
yeah.
thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thanks, I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Hug.
Would the owners come back up, please?
Oh, sure, of course.
So this is not your only facility?
We have, well, it's not our only business. So she started and founded a skilled home care company that she sold.
Could she tell us who she is, please?
Sorry. Sure. Julie Harding.
Okay.
I actually owned Home Nursing with Heart that was in Ralston. I sold it and then partnered with Katie to be able to do this.
And then I own Way to Stay Home Care, which I founded about 8 years ago, and I still own that. So that's a home care business in Omaha.
And what's that model? Do you go in other people's homes?
We currently go in other people's homes, yes, with caregivers, that we can take care of them in home. Mm-hmm.
Okay, do either one of you have any specific past experience running a memory care facility like the one you're proposing today?
This will be a first time for us, but we both went and got our administrator license through the state, through the college. So we are, and she's a nurse, so we have experience with what we're doing.
But you don't have any experience running a facility like the one you're proposing?
Not this particular facility, but we've been in long-term care for my whole career. I've worked in assisted livings, nursing homes.
And I appreciate that,
Mm-hmm.
but neither one of you have any experience running a facility like the one you're proposing today?
Not in the home, no.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't see any further lights. Is there a motion?
I
There's a motion to deny. And there is no second. I think that dies of a no second. Is there another motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. No further lights. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson.
No.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Motion approved 5-2. Item 12, a resolution to approve the Atrium Multifamily Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan located at 7270 Cedar Street in an amount up to $3,596,808.
Public hearing and vote on number 12 is today. Proponents, please.
Let me get the, oh, we got it over here, okay, one moment. There we go. Yeah, good afternoon, Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning. This project involves a comprehensive rehabilitation of a vacant, damaged, neglected hotel building at 73rd and Cedar Streets. The 6-story building will contain 197 studio market rate apartment units. This is an urban village project. They're investing $21.9 million into the rehab of the building. They're asking for TIF support in $3,596,808 amount. Meets the required criteria of our TIF program. It's an appropriate land use for the area. We ask for your approval.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Mr. President, council members, David Levy, Barron Home Law Firm, 1700 Farnham Street, on behalf of the applicant.
Scott Simrad with Urban Village Development, 1750 South 85th Avenue.
And we're happy to answer any questions. If you want Scott to give you a brief overview of the project, we can do that, whatever is helpful.
Okay, thank you. We'll let you know here in a minute. Any other proponents that want to speak? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Bagley, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. President. David or Mr. Semrad, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I know we had, Scott, you and I had met a while ago on this. Tell me what the status of where you're at with this right now before the TIF.
Well, we're just in planning because we're waiting to get through the TIF to start, but we're kind of looking at just all the common spaces because right now we're keeping the shell the same, really everything the same. The units are all concrete walls, so it's going to be basically studio units, 197 studio units, about 600 square feet. It's a big open atrium, so we're really just in planning and waiting to get started.
And how long has that building been dormant for? Can't remember when we
I think
about that.
4 years.
Okay.
It's
been a while.
Yeah, since the pandemic.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a tuck back in their location there, right north of the Drover.
Yep.
My favorite restaurant, one of my favorites. But I wish you luck. I'm going to be glad to support this today, and I appreciate all the conversations you have reached out and you and I have had, and I know you've reached out to the neighborhoods around that as well. I didn't get any opposition on this because people recognize that this is a great location and it needs some life, and you're going to pump that into it. So I'll look forward to watching the progress in this in the next couple of years, and glad to make a motion to support this today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
Don't go far, guys. I want to pick on you a little bit. I'm glad to hear that you're keeping the I wouldn't say the integrity, but the aesthetics to the inside. I have had the opportunity to frequent this facility, and I think it's a great project. I would just ask that as you move forward with your plans, before they get too concrete, that maybe you consider us old people who are going to need a place to live someday, because I think that'd be a great opportunity for senior housing. And maybe not the whole building, but maybe you could consider having a floor designated for seniors, make it more accommodating for them.
We could look at that. I mean, you're always welcome. We'll be there for you.
Sorry, it's wrong district, but someday. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Scott, for taking the risk and
putting a package together for this property. I know you're excited about this project, and I'd like to hear a little bit of that excitement. What intrigues you about this building and
Well,
kind of gets you up and going every day?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a botanical garden in there. There's these giant skylights, and we really want to just bring the outdoors inside. We're looking at doing a lot of different things with that space in there, tropical plants. There's a lot of really cool things that can happen. So with this project, what I'm most excited about, I mean, the units will be very nice. They'll be usable, but I think because the way the building's set up, we can create a lot of community in there and a lot of places for people to congregate that are living in the building, not just with the atrium space, but we're looking at programming other spaces. We're going down this road of health and wellness for it, so we're looking at yoga rooms and fitness, and we haven't dialed it all in yet, but that's kind of the direction we're headed.
Great. Thank you again for taking a chance on that neighborhood. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further lights. There was a motion and a second to approve. Number 12, roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passed 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed unless otherwise provided by the City Council Rules of Order.
The public hearings on agenda items 13 through 19 were held on May 20th. I don't see any further lights. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
There's been a request to remove item number 41 off the consent agenda, so that item is removed. So first we'll take the public hearings on agenda items 20 through 40 and 42 through 46. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name and address, and who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. These are items 20 through 40 and 42 through 46. I don't see any. Public hearings are closed.
Move to approve items 20 through 40 and 42 through 46.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 41, a resolution to approve the purchase order in the amount of $255,000 from Dostal's Construction Company for demolition of the existing playground, basketball court, and sand volleyball court, and the construction of playground, half basketball court, and sand volleyball court at Dahlman Park.
The public hearing and vote on number 41 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the City Council. Matt Kalsovich, Parks and Recreation Director. Thank you for the opportunity to share about this project. These are improvements that are expansion of some improvements that were made already at Dahlman Park. Just to give a little recap, we had a great connection with the neighborhood and talked a lot about what they hope to see. We also made a connection with the Santa Lucia Festival, who'd asked for consideration about a special project there in the park that we've since completed. And this is the next phase of work. I'll start by showing the plaza that we worked with the Santa Lucia Festival on for the history and commemoration of that wonderful event in South Omaha. And that is the picture recently of that project being completed, and still some work to really touch up that area around the construction. But a great step forward there on just an enhancement in the park. And then recently we also did, or previous to that project, we improved the tennis court space, also part of what was conceived with the neighborhood association. So happy to have that already be in place. And this next step forward, in which we also have some philanthropic contribution. So a really dynamic partnership in terms of improving this space. We're going to be adding a playground, and I've brought in a rendering here of the design. And again, some work with the neighborhood in terms of collection of feedback on what they wanted to see, some color selection, things of that nature. And here's just a slightly different angle of that piece. So fun, dynamic, engaging playground structure. Excited to have that. And a little bit more of the detail about the layout of the park and the improvements. This is a little bit high level, but I can point out here, maybe I can get a zoom in.
On top, yeah.
There we a little better. Right here, you can see the tennis court that was improved originally, and then coming this way, you have the playground space. This improvement also includes a half basketball court renovation and an open-air shelter that will also serve the updated sand volleyball court area. So a pretty seismic transformation for a relatively small park in South Omaha, but something that's going to be incredibly impactful, and we're excited to be at this point of adding these additional amenities. Happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Begley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Matt, a couple questions for you. Good afternoon.
Matt Kalsovich, Parks and Recreation Director.
I appreciate your overview on that. This money, this is not ARPA money, right?
This is not.
Okay.
No, this is our traditional capital, and again, some of that philanthropic contribution that we're applying to the playground work.
And the reason I appreciate you showing this is because, you know, we go through our agenda, and if I remember the education game, there's 256 parks.
That's correct.
I think there's 22 in my district. So this one is, you covered Santa Lucia and the neighborhood engagement that was done, which is terrific. And that's if people have a chance to go down there, it really is a beautiful park. The outlet you can see to the east, it's got a beautiful view. And I think it's important just to recognize that in our council meetings, to show what is being done. It doesn't happen overnight. The engagement's been there with the community down there, I know, in Little Italy. And the partnerships, can you talk about the private partnerships we have just in general with this?
Absolutely. Well, again, not being from Omaha originally, I rely on the neighborhood and the people who have been here for a long time to fill me in on the history, and this location and this park and the development of it does have a unique history, so we're excited to be part of enhancing that and bringing it into a new era of enjoyment. But yeah, oftentimes when we're doing projects and we're looking for partners, we have some of those in the philanthropic community that are anxious to contribute in certain places and in certain ways. And this way to engage youth in a different way, to bring things into a modern era, to use the space that is limited, but I think we put together a design that offers a lot of opportunity for people right in that area, neighbors and others who might be attracted to that park because of those amenities. It's going to be something that I think is going to serve people in that new dynamic way for many years to come.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know there's a lot of development that's happened in the last few years down there that is continuing to go on just to the south at the old Grace College location down there. Parks are what make Omaha one of the many things that make us a great city. And a $255,000 investment here, it's a tremendous investment in that community. It's much needed, and I'm glad to support this today. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you for recognizing that. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Is that a motion? Motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you for your support.
Thanks.
Item 47, a resolution to approve the nomination of Albert J. Wagstaff Street as a commemorative street name on Evans Street from John A. Creighton Boulevard to 33rd Street.
The public hearing and vote on number 47 is today. Proponents, please. Do we have anyone here on behalf of the family?
I would like to take the information to the family.
Okay. I'll just call the public hearing here, then I'll recognize you. Are there any other proponents that want to speak to this item? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. This street renaming is really significant to the Omaha area, as Pastor Wagstaff has been in the area for a very, very long time. By extension, he has family members that are known as the Cooks, and they are individuals that are members of the church that I belong to, family church called Church of God. They have been seeking this street renaming, and it has been a very long journey for them to get to this destination point today, because the illness that is surrounding the individual that this will pay tribute to is very near. And so we were trying to get this expedited so that it could accommodate that need. Fortunately, I will be the recipient of getting the information to the family so that they can go ahead and begin making plans to acknowledge or pay homage to the family member. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Is that a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. Roll call.
Harding. Hug. Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Item 48, an ordinance to authorize the issuance of purchase orders to Raven Materials LLC as primary supplier and Omni Engineering as the secondary supplier for the purchase of asphalt mixes to be utilized by the Street Maintenance Division.
The public hearing on number 48 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 49, an ordinance to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Central Salt LLC for the purchase of rock salt to be utilized by the Street Maintenance Division.
Public hearing on number 49 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 50, an ordinance to approve an interlocal agreement with Douglas County in the amount of $23,600,000 to jointly improve 156th Street.
Public hearing on number 50 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 51, an ordinance to approve the Atrium Multifamily Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Agreement.
Public hearing on 51 is today. Proponents, please.
Oh, yeah, good afternoon, Don Seaton, City Planning. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 52, an ordinance to approve the 2214 Florence Boulevard Revitalization Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Agreement.
Public hearing on number 52 is today. Proponents, please.
Yeah, once again, Don Seaton, City Planning. And for this item as well, I'm here for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you.
I am Ryan Deering with Giant Rocks Construction, 2014 Ingberg Road, Papillion, Nebraska. I'm here for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents on number 52? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 53, an ordinance to amend Section 23-177 of the Omaha Municipal Code by changing the salary for the employment classification known as Tree Trimmer 1. Personnel Board recommends approval.
Public hearing on number 53 is today. Proponents, please.
Clary Anderson, Human Resources.
Chelsea Ship, Human Resources.
Good afternoon, Deb Sander, Human Resources, here to answer any questions on this item and the next item because they're both classification related.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 54, an ordinance to amend Section 23-177 of the Omaha Municipal Code by changing the salary for the employment classification known as City Clerk. Personnel Board recommends approval.
The public hearing on number 54 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 55, an ordinance to approve a one-year maintenance services agreement with Image Trend for the Omaha Fire Department.
The public hearing on number 55 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 56, an ordinance to accept and authorize disbursement from a grant award in the amount of $300,000 from the City of Omaha Police Foundation, Inc. to hire one full-time threat assessment coordinator position.
The public hearing on number 56 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed. I may just have the police department come down. I know we talked about this morning, but I think this is a new position that we're discussing here, and I'm supportive of it, but I think it's just important that we discuss it a little bit in the meeting here. I'm given what it'll do for our community and also the next item. Yep.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Out, the Omaha Police Department. Just in regards to this position, we've got adult and adult threat assessment team that's community-based and also school-based. threat assessment team. And what we're hoping to accomplish by having this position filled is someone who can fully devote themselves to the threat assessment process, mitigating strategies, working with the community partners that we're all working with, really dive into these cases of potential threats that we're worried about. I'm dealing with one side, Lindsay Kroll, our head of the, who oversees all our mental health co-responders. She oversees the adult side, the adult team processes, and we have periodic meetings, but we don't have anyone who can fully devote themselves to follow up and coordination, communication, and everything in regards to these cases. So we're really behind on our meetings that are either biweekly or monthly, and this would just really help us dive in and hopefully prevent potential problems that could arise.
Mm-hmm. And be based at the Real-Time Operations Center, the position?
Where the location would be, still have to work that out on, as far as where it would be. I don't think it would be at the, I don't think it would be there, but
Okay.
you're just finding the appropriate office space for it.
Okay. It looks like 2 years' worth of funding by the Omaha Police Foundation.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, we appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Did you want to address it too? Yeah.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Alan Straub with the Omaha Police Department. The other part of that grant for the Real-Time Operations Center is us assisting Public Works in purchasing servers for their cameras citywide. It's to help them expand their camera network, which in turn helps us with the operations center.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
So there's two parts to that grant. One is the threat assessment, the other one is for us assisting Public Works.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that clarification.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, you're recognized.
Good morning, how are you? Or afternoon, I should say.
Afternoon.
Good. Just a point of information, a point of inquiry. I have an inquisitive mind. How many threats does Omaha have on an annual basis? Is there any data or any information on that? And obviously, since we're going to invest in this additional support, has that number increased over the years?
I would say it, I can't tell you with 100% certainty if it's increased or not. I can just, but I would say that it's my belief that at least on the school side, because that's more what I deal with, it has probably gone up since 2019 when the Safe to Help network or hotline that was modeled after the Safe to Tell in Colorado. Since that has come out and parents have become aware, that's where a lot of our initial threat information comes in. I'd say that the schools are a little more aware, staff is a little more aware. We are trying to be a lot more proactive in regards to investigations, getting to them early. But then there's the ones that where maybe it's not necessarily a threat, but it's someone's displaying behavior that's concerning, and we're trying to prevent it from getting to that point. So it's kind of a complicated question there. We've got there's a lot of moving parts in regards to whether it's an active threat or whether we have threatening or potential concerning behavior that we are trying to not have it get to that level, if that makes sense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it does. And that brings me to the point of, I know that I've seen dashboards that indicate threat levels. Do you guys do that kind of communication?
Well, as far as what this is, what we're trying to hopefully get from this is we're more community-based, what I'm involved in, which is a supplement to the schools teams. And usually if there's something that we're discussing that affected the school, it's probably already gone through a school threat assessment that was rated as a high threat on their criteria.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any further lights. Next item.
Item 57, an ordinance to approve an amendment to an agreement with the Behavioral Health Support Foundation and the Omaha Police Foundation to extend the term of an agreement to December 31st, 2027, and to hire one full-time mental health crisis co-responder position at the Omaha Police Department.
The public hearing on number 57 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, any opponents?
Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewar Avenue. I'm an opponent mainly because of the city structure that has authority over health. The city health director is the county health director, and I rarely see her involved in dictating public health since the pandemic and since you guys wanted to avoid a lawsuit from the governor. So we need to have the health director, the city health director, back to the fore to assist us in public health. Because if you want the police to do mental health, what do you think they're going to do when they're short-staffed? They're going to say, well, this is not so much important. Let others deal with it who cannot necessarily report or know where to or understand the recourse when they're being violated by mentally incompetent people. So please bring back the city health director to the fore in mental health and actually in any health issue that the city has.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other opponents that want to speak? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Begley. We already did proponents, but we'll call you up here in a second. Mr. Begley, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. President. Chief, can you come down, or who's speaking on this from the police department?
Go ahead. Yep.
Please. The floor is yours. Then I got a couple questions.
Good afternoon. I'm
Good
Shelley Poole. I'm one of the mental health crisis co-responders for the Omaha Police Department, 3912 North 162nd Avenue. Attempt to answer questions you may have.
Okay.
Thanks, Shelley. So this will bring us up to a staff of 6, if I understand correctly, for the mental health crisis co-responders, correct?
This new position will bring us to 7.
To 7. 6 now, okay, so this will bring
Yes.
us to 7. Can you, when I got on the council, this was talked about a lot, and it still is in the community, the importance of mental health co-responders. Could you just kind of touch on what you do on a daily basis and what our mental health professionals do for the city?
So each of our 5 precincts are assigned a mental health co-responder, currently working either B shift or C shift. And then we have an additional adolescent co-responder assigned who works with Lieutenant Ott as well with the schools throughout our community on those threat assessments. On a day-to-day basis, we're assisting officers by co-responding to 911 calls. We want to avoid our consumers from going to the hospital if we can connect them to other resources in the community, so we can extend that hand to be connectors and help provide kind of a wraparound for them so that we can keep them out of law enforcement. We also want to avoid people escalating and going to jail if that's not where they need to be. And just doing a lot of soft handoff to getting our consumers connected to resources in probably a quicker time than they could on their own, just because of the relationships and connections we've made.
That's a great explanation that you gave. And when you talk about de-escalation, there's a lot of great things that you guys and ladies do. I think this is maybe one of the best tools that the police department has for our community. And I've advocated since I've been on the council to increase the numbers to support Chief Schmatter and the police department. And this is a great step from the Police Foundation, the Omaha Police Foundation. So this is a grant for 1 year, and then does the police department pick up the funding after the year?
For my notes, the fully grant-funded payroll from June 7th, 2026 through the payroll of December 5th, 2026, which is 13 pay periods. Then it will move to fully budget funded. And then year 3, the payroll period starting June 6, 2027 will be fully city
Okay,
funded.
thanks I appreciate you clarifying that, because that's important. Again, I support this today. I know it's a public hearing, but appreciate the work that you do, and it's vital for our community, I think, to have these resources involved to support our men and women that are on the streets every day protecting and serving. And the de-escalation piece that your team does is a great asset for the city that I'm glad to support, and I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Ms. Melton?
Oh, Shelley, if you could just stay up there. Well, and what I want to say is I really appreciated what you said. There's de-escalation, but also you stated to try and keep them out of jail. Because if you can de-escalate it, then they maybe don't commit or are in a position where they have no other choice.
Correct.
Because currently our Douglas County Correctional Center, I would say, is the largest mental health facility in our state.
Correct.
And I think it's fabulous that we're building onto that mental health component and mod. But I think the real answer would be if we can just avoid it completely.
Yes, and we've been working with them as well to try to mitigate people who might be going to jail, and we know that's not the place for them to be, so there's great communication happening between our unit and corrections.
Oh, I think that's fabulous. I really do. And I really would like to see maybe even, I'll talk to you after this, come to one of our criminal justice management review committees, because we have everybody in the room. And it dawned on me, we always do have somebody from OPD, but it might be great if we actually had a co-responder at least come every 3 meetings or something like that to kind of give us, you can see the take from all the other different organizations. And like you said, the networking that you have and the contacts that you have is also another way that you're being able to provide that great service. Not just provide it from your knowledge and experience working with the person in crisis, but then you use your contacts with others, which
Absolutely.
I think is fabulous all the way around. So I appreciate what you do, and I would like to see us have more than 7. It would be great if we could have one for every shift in every precinct, and then
That
also
will be
have
the-
backup.
That is the hope.
So that would be the goal that I would like to see.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
I agree with those comments too, and I want to thank you for your work. So I will just follow up on that question though. In an ideal world, how many would you have?
Definitely at least 1 per shift, if not more. Right now, it's been great. Monday through Fridays, we do have somebody on shift from approximately 8 a.m. until 10 p.m., which is something we've been able to do in this past year. We would also like to have weekend coverage. So
5 precincts times 3, so we're talking 15?
at least, yep.
I think it is important, and I'm glad you mentioned the phasing of this into the city budget, because I am thankful for philanthropy for getting this started for us, and for the Behavioral Health Foundation in particular for continuing their support that we're seeing here today. But I think it is very important this becomes just part of the city budget. It is something the city should be doing and sustain for a long period of time as we consider this an important component of, I think, a broader perspective on behavioral health that I think our community is poised to take some big steps on in the next year or two. So, yeah, thanks for your work.
Thank you.
I don't see any further lights. Next item.
Item 58, Albertson Towing appeals the rejection of their bid from February 26, 2025 for towing services, accident, and violation for OPD.
This is a bid rejection appeal number 58. It's not a public hearing, but first we'll hear from the bid appealer if they're in attendance here, and then we'll hear from the city, and then we'll see if council members have questions. So please come down.
Good afternoon, council members. Sean Lavery, Fraser Stryker, 409 South 17th Street, Omaha, Nebraska. I am appearing on behalf of and with Lonnie Albertson of Albertson Towing. I just want to take a quick minute to thank you all for taking the time to entertain us as we discuss possible alternatives to the more severe approach that's been taken to this point of revoking the contract Mr. Albertson has with the city for towing services with the Omaha Police Department. Mr. Albertson is a fairly entrepreneurial young man. He was born and raised in Omaha, wrestled in Fort Calhoun, spent a little bit of time in college, and came back to Omaha, recognized there was an opportunity to provide a service for his community in the means of starting a towing business. He started that in 2020. After about a year of relatively successful work, he was able to purchase a smaller towing operation and extend his fleet. Continued to meet with success. In roughly 2024, he started working with the Omaha Police Department on a more informal basis, providing tow services. And with that success, he saw the opportunity in the contract for the more formal towing service list that I think was extended at the early stages of this year, 2025. He bid, and that bid was awarded to Mr. Albertson amongst a number of other towing services. And upon receiving that bid, he had an opportunity to hire a couple additional employees to work as drivers on his behalf. Unfortunately, early in 2025, starting on, I believe, February 26, 2025, one of Mr. Albertson's drivers was given a securement violation for failing to properly strap a vehicle. Mr. Albertson was made aware of that violation and took immediate steps to remedy the issue. He placed the driver on suspension and then undertook additional training steps to include a full day of in-person training that Mr. Albertson provided to that driver. He also met with the entirety of his staff to review safety procedures and protocols. Fast forward to April 21st, 2025, that same driver that was cited with the securement violation back in February had another incident. In that incident, the vehicle that was being towed was not properly strapped, did become unsecured, and unfortunately a member of the Omaha Police Department that was on scene attempted to stop the rolling vehicle and was injured. Mr. Albertson took immediate steps to again try and remedy the issues that were giving rise to these violations. He placed that driver on immediate suspension pending an internal investigation that ultimately found that it was conduct that warranted termination. He also undertook more serious, call it internal protocol revisions, where he set about a new training policy where any new hires would undergo 2 weeks of a probationary period, where Mr. Albertson would provide hands-on training for that 2-week period. No new driver would be given an opportunity to provide towing services absent successfully completing that probationary period. He also implemented a process by which all new employees would undergo a 30, 60, and 90-day review of their performance. Continuing on, he also implemented an annual performance review for all ongoing employees. What we're hoping to achieve today is to determine if there is a means by which Mr. Albertson and Albertson Towing can rehabilitate their relationship with the City of Omaha and the Omaha Police Department by showing his ongoing commitment to providing this service to the community in a safe and functional manner. With that, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions when the time comes.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from the city now, please.
Bernard Indenbush, Deputy City Attorney. With me today are Captain Jen Russell from the Omaha Police Department and Reginald Johnson, who's the manager of the vehicle impound lot. Just by way of background, since the middle of 2024 approximately, when the city canceled its previous tow contract, the Omaha Police Department has been using a list of towing companies instead of using a single one, working our way through a list and on an on-call basis. That worked well. The police department felt the response times were better, and so they wanted to make the change moving forward. As a result, they put out for bid vehicle impound towing. The first time it happened, they ended up having to cancel the bid and restart, so ultimately they put out a bid, CI 2025-0026, Addendum 1, Towing Services. And the purpose of that, and it's actually on your agenda today for first reading, was to create a list of bidders for the various types of tows that they do, and basically we'll take the best bids for a certain number of each category, and those companies would then be called when those tows were available. Albertsons Towing is one of the various tow companies that did submit a bid, and they had been on the list of approved tow companies before that. We are now at a point where we are looking at actually moving forward with awarding of a tow contract, which is for a period of 3 years, and it would create a list of tow companies, and that's where we are. We've not actually awarded any bids previously to Albertsons. They've been on the list of people. They've done tow work for us for a period of time. The concern is there have been 3 relatively very significant incidents in the past 3 months, or in about a 4-month period, the last of which resulted in a potentially career-ending injury for an injury to an Omaha police officer who had a vehicle that was being towed run over his legs. What I've provided to you is a copy of information relative to the 3 instances in 2025 and the concerns about their performance. The first instance, which occurred on January 24th of 2025, is a concern that they obstructed traffic and did not appropriately clear debris off the street. And you'll see that they were originally notified of their suspension from the towing list. They did respond quickly on page 3 of that particular document. You can see they apologized profusely. The response was certainly appropriate. They took responsibility for their actions and put their driver on probation. And very shortly thereafter, they were reinstated. Unfortunately, approximately 1 month later, Albertsons driver brought in a tow to the impound lot, and I've included pictures that you can see of a pickup truck where they failed to secure the front and rear tires of the pickup truck. Now, fortunately, nothing bad occurred. The truck did not come unhooked, which is the risk when you're towing a vehicle that isn't properly secured. As a result of that particular notice, the driver was suspended from providing tows for the Omaha Police Department. Once again, the next day, Albertsons responded, very apologetic, put the driver on a 30-day probationary period. And fortunately, no one was hurt in that particular instance. The response was obviously very similar to the one we received a month before. Unfortunately, about a month and a half later, we have this last instance where an Albertson driver failed to properly secure a vehicle and engaged in some unsafe towing procedures. And as a result, we did have an officer who attempted to stop the vehicle that was rolling down the street, being run over and having both of his legs injured. And I've included the police report that indicates that that occurred. Albertsons again responded very quickly and used a similar form letter as to what we have seen before. And I think at the end of the day, the Omaha Police Department appreciates the tenor of the apologies that they've received, but the concern is, in less than 90 days, we have 3 very serious instances, all leading to suspensions. And based on this history, we're now faced with the awarding of contracts to a variety of towing companies based on the bids. And based on that the failure to perform and the concerns about their continued performance, the police department felt it was appropriate to reject their bid because of their recent past history. They've obviously been apologetic in their communications, but frankly, we haven't seen the changes that we would like to see in the conduct. And as a result, we don't believe their performance They don't meet the standard of best bid as far as lowest and best bid. We believe this record substantiates rejecting this particular bid. That's not to say if they have continued years of performance that they can't bid again in 3 years when the issue comes up again, but we think it's appropriate to reject it now. I do have video clips of the incident, which I can show. Can be somewhat graphic. There's somewhat graphic language in some of them. Probably not my preference, but I'm happy to show them if that's the will of the council. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you had any. If the appeal is denied, obviously we move forward with the contract in its current form. If you were to accept the appeal and move forward, I would anticipate we would make an amendment of the whole to the item that's on the council agenda. I anticipate that would be one of the questions somebody might ask, so I'll try to address it prospectively. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I see we do have some lights. Mr. Harding, you're recognized.
Thanks, Bernard. Just a couple quick questions, and I probably will have something later on. But in addition to the incidences that you laid out, I think the numbers of calls that were not even answered, I think it was over 40% of the calls that went to Albertsons for possible service were not even answered. And on 9 times, which they can do, they rejected or turned down the opportunity for the
Certainly.
tow. But I'm assuming over 40% of calls not even answered is probably a pretty high percentage compared to others, because I think the immediacy or the immediacy of the need for the towing services is something of great importance to the police.
I think you're absolutely correct that the expectation is that vehicles will be on site in less than 30 minutes. And so obviously people not answering calls puts that in peril. I think it's fair to say that that percentage was substantially higher than what we saw across the other tow companies that were performing similar services.
Okay. So in addition to these incidences, as well as the taking into the non-responsiveness really of the contractor, I mean, it almost gives you the impression that, and with the kind of almost form-like responses, as genuine as they may have been in their apologies, it just doesn't seem like this has been operated in a professional manner, and the potential for injury to others, police or the public, is concerning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously those issues are raised by Mr. Johnson in one of his communications to them, and those are significant. Obviously, the one that's most significant is the critical injury to the officer that we had most recently for an event that reoccurred less than a month, right. Approximately a month or a month and a half after a similar incident by the same driver.
How many tow companies would this leave us with?
Oh, I think we have the full complement depending on the category, and I believe they were and I mean full complement, I believe it's 18, and they were in the category that did kind of the basic tows. So again, if you were to sustain the appeal, and we would need to amend the document, ultimately one of the other companies would get knocked off.
Okay.
The back end.
They would get knocked off. Does that automatically move someone up? But it sounds like...
Well, Albertsons would be included, and whoever's at the bottom would get knocked off.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
And that's because of pricing, Bernard? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Bagley, you're recognized.
Thanks, Mr. President. I have a couple questions for Mr. Albertson or his attorney. Good afternoon. In the letter attached dated May 9th from your firm, where on February 26th, Mr. Albertson placed the driver on a 30-day probationary period, implemented additional safety training. I'm curious what that safety training was. We got 2 incidents within 2 months. So do you want to walk me through what that safety training entails?
Assuming Mr. Albertson's comfortable describing that process, he and I have spoken about it, but I would leave it to him to describe those additional steps he took.
Okay, I would be curious to hear what that is.
Okay, first off, the first incident was a driver.
And then Lonnie,
blocking-
just your name and address for the record, too.
Lonnie Albertson with Albertson Towing, 5501 North 153rd Ave.
Thanks.
The first incident was a driver that blocked extra lane of traffic. I made sure to tell him right away. I went and showed him where he messed up, and then I made him draw how he would do certain tows at certain intersections and how not to block traffic. And then I took him out with me for the next 24 to 48 hours, and he watched me do all the tows and seen all the safety things that I do, the extra safety chains.
Can I, if I can, I don't mean to interrupt you, but let me stop you there. You did this after that incident. Did he not, do you not provide this training before that?
No, I did. I just had to redo all the training because first thing that a driver does is get put in a truck with me for a week to 2 weeks, and then they get put with my second best driver. Then they usually start to tow with the second best driver after I've released them to that they were safe driving the vehicle, and then the second driver usually drives with them for another week. And then once that's done, usually they come back to me. I tell them to hook up to a car that's hard to hook up to, an all-wheel drive car at an angle, kind of blocked in. As long as they can do that, under pressure with me watching them, successfully throw dollies. Everyone's trained that as soon as you touch a car, you're to put straps on it. And then the second incident, I put the guy on probation.
Let me stick to the first one. So what kind of certification of training do you have to provide that training to your drivers?
I've been doing it for 4 years. I did it for...
Sir, can I just ask you to scoot over a little bit because we can't hear you on the microphone?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I was towing for multiple years before I started towing for myself. I used to work at Downtown Recycling, hauling all their junk and salvage vehicles. I was the manager there. I bought my own tow truck, was successful for a little over 1.5 years by myself before I added anyone else. I went through some help and keep retraining guys. I recently hired a couple other guys that are in extreme training with me. Then I'm also moving forward, making sure that we attend some rec masters. Right when this last incident happened, there was a place in Lincoln where rec masters went. Now they're not going to be back for another year. I'd be willing to send drivers out of state for extra training. I'll personally go myself before I send anyone. I would do anything to continue to better our safety.
Okay, so maybe this is for your attorney counsel. What liability limits does Mr. Albertson's company have in order to protect people in the event an accident happens if it is your fault? Is there liability limits that you guys have?
To speak to what the specific limits are, I do not know off the top of my head, but I know he is insured pursuant to the requirements under the contract. He has a commercial policy. Lonnie, do you know the exact limits of your
We're $1 million on the hook. I believe we also have a $1 million umbrella policy.
Okay, and is that to cover per person per incident in the event an accident happens?
I'd have to relook over the literature to tell you exactly.
Maybe I'll ask Mr. Andenbosch that. If Bernard, are you aware of what those limits would be?
Bernard Andenbosch, Deputy City Attorney. I'm looking at the specs for the bid that's before you, which I think is consistent with what we would have requested beforehand. It looks like it's a $300,000 certificate of insurance that's needed in order to comply with the contractual requirement.
Okay, is that per person per incident?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Bernard. And Mr. Albertson, just on April 21st, there was a police officer that was injured. you know, I'm reading your letters and you're apologetic, and I get that. On February 27th, you took ownership. And then we had the incident that happened. And in that incident on 2/27, the vehicle was not strapped down. And then in the letter that you sent after the second incident, you sent us a letter to the city again that you had your deepest and most sincere apologies for the incident that happened. You're a small business, I want you to do well, but it's concerning, just as I read this, the safety measures within 2 months, the issues that happened. I hope that you take into account the safety of people not only that work for you, but for the people in the public, first responders that are out there. There was an officer injured, and that's unfortunate. But I'm concerned, at least hearing what safety measures or training that was provided either to you or by you to your employees. I'll leave it at that for now. That's all I have for now, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. All right. While he considers that, there are some other lights. Should we keep going while he prepares those?
You're the president.
It usually takes a minute just to do that. I did have the opportunity to review them myself previously. But why don't we skip ahead for a second? Mr. Harding, go ahead.
Sure. Actually, I just have a couple quick questions while that's being loaded up. For Mr. Albertson, how many trucks do you have?
I'm just going to go on this side.
I have 3 that are on the road and a 4th one about to be on the road. I was in the process of purchasing another flatbed and selling my previous flatbed. My previous flatbed is my worst truck. It does have some demons. It's gave me some trouble, and that's why I've missed so many calls. If I did get awarded to be back on, the first thing I would do is go buy a 2019 Freightliner flatbed so I could make sure to not miss as many calls and be there promptly.
Well, okay, this wasn't going to be one of my questions, but just what you said makes me ask this question. Just because a truck isn't operational doesn't mean you don't answer the phone. You can reject the call after you take the call and reject the opportunity to provide the service.
Now, was it ever, my next question is, are all the calls that I had a problem with the phone for Verizon, I use a One Talk app, that sometimes I missed a call, but I returned that call within 30 seconds.
Where are the trucks stored or parked when they're not in use?
They're at 5501 North 153rd Ave.
Is that a residential address?
Yes, but they're kept in my garage.
All of them?
Well, I keep my self-loader in my garage, and usually if my flatbed's not at home, sitting in front of my house, it's at an employee's house, but both wreckers do fit in my garage.
So you're running the business out of your house?
Yes, at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Eliza, do you have to get in there to plug it in?
Yep.
All right.
Mr. President, in talking with Bernard, I let him pick the one video he wants to show. So we're going to watch one video.
All right, thank you.
So there's 2 videos that I have. They're actually clips of the longer video. This first one is from the cruiser video camera. You don't have very much audio. The second clip is actually the police officer's body-worn camera video, and at the end of it, there's some profanity. So I'll play the first clip. If you feel like you want me to play the second, I can, but I'll give you the PG-13 warning for the second clip, if we could come to that. Well, there we go.
I reviewed them myself, so I felt like the cruiser cam was more informative than the body cam.
Probably.
There you go.
And Officer Eric, the one who was struck, is the gentleman with the bald, who's bald.
this and type in Albertson. And then I'm gonna reprint this for him so it's got him listed on there.
Thank you. Yep. Mr. Hug, did you have follow-up questions? The floor is yours at the moment.
Unless Bernard thinks there's something of value in the second video relevant to this appeal.
You see the same incident. The only thing that you maybe see a little bit more is the car being kind of dropped, the tow truck dropping the car before it ends up coming down the hill. As I said, as you see, because it's his body-worn camera, you hear his audio after he's struck, which obviously he used a little bit of profanity, which I'll leave it for you. But that's, I don't know that you see any more. I mean, you see the vehicle go over, you can see it go over his leg.
And what was the specific cause of the vehicle coming loose? Was it an action of the driver that caused the release, or was it a failure of the equipment?
Well, if you can watch the other video, you can see that the driver appears to drop the driver did not secure the tires, so he didn't put the
straps on the
strap
wheels?
over the top. And then when the officer is up talking to him, you can see that he drops it so that it's not even, which effectively renders moot the back wheel part of it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Melton, you're recognized.
Thank you. I think, I guess I'm very concerned with the training of the driver. I understand maybe having employees that need to have more training, but my biggest concern also would be too, if we allowed Albertson, if we did not uphold the rejection of their bid, another towing company that didn't run over an officer's legs, that hasn't had any of these problems, is going to be kicked off, and they won't be allowed to have a contract. So, because that's how it works. We only have so many bidders, and I think that's what Bernard had said. I think that this is very problematic, and I think for the safety of our officers, because it's our police officers that are also calling the tow truck. So it's our first responders that are going to be there, and they will put themselves in the way of a car that's rolling down the hill so it doesn't hit somebody else or hit somebody else's vehicle. They will put themselves in the line of danger, and we saw that here, the loose car going down the hill. That officer didn't hesitate to run after that vehicle to try and stop it, because that's what they do. I think that this history, I don't believe that the training was enough, clearly. The training that was done, potentially we need professional training. I do hope that as a small business, Albertson Towing can maybe figure out what they need to do to become more successful, but I guess I'm not going to do it at the expense, number one, of another business, and number two, not when we have 3 instances in such a short period of time. January, February, April. I just think that that's too problematic to be using taxpayer dollars and putting our first responders at risk. So that'll be the reason that I'll uphold the rejection of the bid.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
The attorney. Hi there. Do we have 2 events that we're looking at?
There are 3 events. The
Okay.
2 events that were specifically addressed were the events that occurred after the bid was awarded. And I say the 2 events that were specifically addressed by me.
Okay, and was there 1 driver or 2 drivers?
The original event in January that preceded Mr. Albertson being awarded the bid involved 1 driver. The 2 subsequent events in February and April respectively were the same driver.
So we had 3 events. 1 driver was the same on 2 events.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Indenbosch, just one question for you too, if you're able to come back down. Yep. So I don't disagree with the analysis of council members here, and I can understand the concern of the police department for not making a recommendation to be included in what is now a contract proposal on first reading here. If the bid is in fact, or if the appeal is in fact denied today, I guess my question is there any middle ground to get them into better standing over time? And my understanding is that would be at least 3 years, right?
Correct. There is no sub-bid or middle ground. I mean, obviously, you're either awarded the bid or not. Certainly, if they had 3 years of good performance, this is a 3-year contract. I think there's 2 one-year options, but it's a three-year contract. If they were to perform well in that period, they certainly would be eligible to bid again and demonstrate a clean safety record for a period of time, which, if that were the case, I think would be sufficient to have included them.
Okay. So that'd be 3 years from now would be the earliest time frame.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I see any further lights. Is there a motion?
Motion to deny the appeal.
Mr. Hug, is your light on? Okay, there's a motion to deny and a second. Mr. Hug, you're recognized.
I see we have our management from the impound here. I just want to ask them if they have anything to offer, any comments you want to make. Be welcome. I'd welcome you up to the podium.
I do not.
Yeah. I'm sorry to make it come all the way up to say it, but I did want it. I did see you here. I did want to acknowledge you were here, and I assume this is the captain of the unit.
Yes. So Reginald Johnson, manager of the Omaha Police Department impound lot, 7809 F Street.
Captain Jennifer Russell, Omaha Police.
Okay. So again, for the record, thanks for walking all the way down here. But neither one of you have anything to offer or any comments to make at this time.
I do not. I thought it was a thorough job done by the attorney, so nothing else needs to be said.
Well, let me deviate from the issue, if I may.
Certainly.
So if you could just give us a very brief opinion of how you think the new contract's working?
Yes, I'm extremely impressed with the new contract. Indeed, I thought it was something we should have done quite some time ago, quite frankly. I think that the current companies that we have who have performed or have been performing for us since we started this have been doing pretty well. Not only that, there have been some, quite frankly, there have been some companies that we've also, Albertsons wasn't the first one. There were several companies that have been rejected as a result of bad performance. So this is something we are acknowledging, we're recognizing, we're doing something about, quite frankly.
Well, I'm excited to see it happen, and I want to thank you both for the wonderful job you do at the impound, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion to deny the appeal in a second. Roll call.
Harding. Hug.
Yes.
Johnson. I need a yes or no. I don't have anything on file. It's not valid unless. I'll come back. Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley.
Aye.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Johnson. Okay. Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you.
Item 60, there was a request to withdraw.
Your request to withdraw number 59.
We do need a motion and a vote, yep.
Is there a motion to withdraw?
Second.
Motion and a second to withdraw at the request of the appealer. Roll call.
Harding. Hug.
Yes.
Johnson. Melton. Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Non-action items, items 61 through 102, do not require public hearing or city council consideration at this meeting, but will be placed on a future agenda for public hearing and or vote. The reason for non-action is noted after the item on the agenda, as well as the date the item is expected to appear on agenda for consideration.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Roll call.
Harding. Hug.
Yes.
Johnson. Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 3:40.